Hi there, welcome back to the Kenny Veach M Cave mystery missing person case. Today I wanted to analyse and raise the very important question: why was it when Kenny Veach went on his M Cave hike, as you saw on his channel, why did Kenny ignore the supposed M Cave? Why would he do that? He gave the odd clue and hint here and there, yet he just walked past it. He didn't stop, he didn't investigate, he didn't get hands-on like all the other hikers have done over time. When other hikers have gone out there looking for the M Cave, they've gone up close, they've inspected the rocks, they've tried looking through the gaps, even ones that appear filled in. People investigated, yet Kenny just walked on through pretty quickly. And also taken in consideration, when he did look across to that other scary looking cave, what did he do? He just said, nope, I'm not going up there, and just carried on walking, and maybe quicker. Take in mind, I've already done a little analysis on that. You want to catch up to these previous videos so it makes more sense with regards to this one. It's all under control. If you click the top right corner of the screen, the eye symbol, there'll be some recommended videos to you. You know, ones you may have missed, so you can catch up on them when you've got time. And the playlist will also be available of all the videos on the case I've documented, over 300 now, so it's quite a lot. But today, I wanted to focus in on the right-hand side of the rock wall, not the one adjacent, but the right-hand side if you was going down to Picture Canyon, okay? And that's what Kenny did in his M Cave hike video on his channel. I'm going to play to you the footage of the hike. I'm going to play to you the key moment where Kenny walks past the supposed M Cave, and then we can, put it into perspective and analyse, compare and contrast, because there is a second important point to this video. Besides Kenny Veach not being hands-on, besides him supposedly being passionate to go out there a second time round to record and prove it to the general public that doubted him in the first place, he wasn't that hands-on. He didn't seem quite, passionate enough to get his hands dirty, to get up close with this supposed area, which may have triggered a flashback or memory due to how he responded. And we've already seen that previously, and you'll see it once again in this clip. But the second important part of this video is the fact that there is more than one opportunity of an M Cave in the area, okay? There might not immediately or completely fulfill the description by Kenny Veach, how he did so at the start of his video, but certain things check on the list. And take in mind, Kenny Veach did contradict himself in his video regardless. So anything is up in the air for, observations and acknowledgement, okay? So what I'm going to try and do now is just briefly introduce to you the two caves, or the two shallow looking caves of interest which fit part of the bill, right? Just one more thing. I just want to say welcome to all those that are currently here in this live premiere. Appreciate that. Shout out to Cleo last night for her super chat, much appreciated. As for people recently joining, I'll try and do that tonight as well. More so from the Kenny Veach community. I'll do it later on in this video when enough people are around. You'll know when it drops, okay? But yeah, welcome to those that are currently here. Share your thoughts and opinions in the live chat box. If you want to elaborate or you can't quite focus, leave comments down below in the comment section. And also down there, you'll find in the pinned comment additional links to check out in regards to my channel, okay, on YouTube. So with that all being said and done, referring back to the caves of interest, the supposed M Cave. First of all, you've got a pretty clear looking M-shaped cave. It fits the shape, the letter M. Is it narrow? Kind of. It's not exactly wide. So I think it ticks the box there. Is it tall enough? No, because it does look shallow and there's not much of an open. You'd have to crouch to get on in. So it doesn't quite tick the box there, but nevertheless, it stands out when you walk past. You look at other people's thumbnails in videos when they've done the coverage of the Kenny Veach case for the first time, and they call it M Cave, they always use that one photo of that M-shaped cave, even though it's shallow, even though it's not deep and it's not exactly dark, as Kenny described in his video, people always refer back to that image because it's relatable and it stands out. That's the key factor. It stands out. When you see M, cave, in the title and the thumbnail meets the title's requirements and description, you're more likely to relate to it and understand, right? So for it to stand out that clear to different people, and yet for Kenny Veach to just walk past it without any reference whatsoever, that does not make any sense, because there's a slight contradiction which I'm going to bring up in a second, okay? So besides the M-shaped looking cave, which is shallow because people have gone into it, not much to go into because it's met with a rock wall, but still people have gone up hands on, you know, investigating, likes of Sean Horlacker, SB, Jay Silverheels possibly, etc. The list goes on. Besides that part, the next cave is just as shallow, less looking of an M-shaped cave. You could try and make it out in a way, but it just doesn't stand out as much. The only interesting feature about that cave in between the other two is that it's got a hole at the back of the rock wall, and that was, you know, catching some people's interest. It was Sean Horlacker, I don't know about SB, but also Jay Silverheels that went up to it looking and inspecting it. Kenny Veach made no reference about it because I guess it didn't stand out to him, and he wouldn't have known about the hole in the wall because he didn't go up to that area, which is unfortunate. But then, once he walks past that, then you see the covered up M cave. Now, being honest, it looks less of an M cave compared to the other one I mentioned earlier on in this video, and you'll get the idea of that. But in terms of how it looks, it could appear like a jigsaw puzzle piece. Rocks piled on top of one another with cracks running all the way through, like it's been pieced together. And supposedly white seams on the bottom, like it's been sealed shut to prevent anyone from going in. Now, you know, closing off caves and mine shafts can happen over time. It can be the people that own the land, run the area, observe it, park rangers, to keep people from going in, to keep people safe. And when it comes to the military aspect, if in a certain area, well, military doing it so people don't get hurt, harmed, but also don't go into places they shouldn't be going into in the first place, right? The question is, does that apply here in any shape or form? Well, some people believe it's natural rock formation, though others believe it was filled in. Now, I think SB was a little bit skeptical at first and a bit level-headed, thinking, you know what, probably natural. But over time, his opinions have shifted, right? Which is natural and normal, but also interesting to see, right? So there's still a bit of a divide, but there's still a lot of interest about it, okay? Besides the actual shape of it, the characteristics, in terms of it being level on the ground level, it ticks the box as Kenny Veach described. In terms of the shape of it, not exactly wide, but wider than the other two. So I guess it still kind of meets this description. As for the height of it, a bit taller, so I'd say that would fit the description there. Is it deep and dark? Don't know, because if it's filled in, you're not going to know. But I guess when Sean did poke the camera up close to one of the gaps or cracks, you could see through, and it did look kind of dark, but then again, it depends what the angle was at the time, and I did try enhancing the images to make it clearer for you to see. As said, you want to check back up those videos for deeper, closer inspections, you can do so. It's all available, documented on my channel, okay? But this cave, what we're talking about, the supposed covered up M cave, that's when Kenny Veach said along the lines, oh, a place just like here, a place just like here, as if Kenny has walked past that spot in the past when it was open, you know? To relate to a certain spot and to say, oh yeah, just like here, it seems as if it probably is the spot, but Kenny isn't fully sure because maybe changes have been made to the area, so visually it looks different to when he first went. So he's that uncertainty. There's certain resemblances which remind you of the past, but not quite clear enough to say, hey, this is the spot. Maybe I should stop. Maybe I should walk up closer to this supposed looking cave and have a close look and see what's happened to it, because last time I remember, it was never filled in. So what's happened since? Kenny didn't do any of that. He just simply walked by. Very unfortunate. Though, like I said, in parallel to it, across the other side of the, do you call it canyon? The rock walls on the left-hand side, when he zoomed in on that, you know, diagonal looking cave, it looked a bit spooky with the supposed eyes on the inside. And he said, I'm not going up there. You know, before he said that, before he said, I'm not going up there, he said, and whispered, looks like. Looks like what? Looks like something is in the cave. Looks like this is the area. This is the M cave. Looks like the area I walked through the first time round. If already, you know, he refers to the footage saying, well, this is kind of like the area, somewhere like here, and then transitions looking across the canyon and saying, looks like, kind of like here, looks like. There's a lot of similarities all of a sudden. Memories flushing back to his mind when he was in that spot, but he wasn't 100% sure because there was changes made, so that confused him and he doubted himself. You get what I'm saying? You look at the bigger picture and you add it all together, it seems as if, yes, he blanked the area. He didn't stay around long enough to understand or investigate. Is that because he wasn't fully sure with himself? It'd be a great shame, in a sense, because if that was the genuine spot and he just completely ignored and blanked it, it makes you wonder, well, what did he do on the final hike, supposed one? Did he go past that area again? Did he completely blank it? Who knows? So I just want to provide to you that backstory there, okay? I appreciate your patience. I'm hoping that as many people are still watching this video still, because now it's the important time to transition onto that footage by Kenny Veach, what he said, how he reacted, and then we look at the photos to put into perspective of his attitude of the area and the lack of action taken by him, in which he's supposedly a very passionate individual that will probably go at any length to find a cave, yet seemed very reserved on that hike video. Let's head on over to the footage of Kenny during the M Cave hike to put into perspective.
But it just keeps on going. And then there's lots of little caves, but they're, you know, they're not the kind of cave I'm looking for. The kind of cave I'm looking for is deep and it's dark and it's shaped like it's shaped just like the letter M. Lots of little caves and stuff along here, and it's about level with the ground, like in an area like this. So I really got to keep my eyes peeled because I don't want to pass it.
I don't know about you, but it just seemed a little bit ironic where he said, gotta keep my eyes peeled just so I don't miss it. And yet he made a reference about an area right next to him, which is kind of like the area he found back then, but made no attempt or effort to stop, to turn around, to look at it, to get up close. In fact, he spent more time looking at a cave across the other side, which in a way had less resemblance compared to the two he walked past. That's kind of interesting, that. It caught his attention. He stopped, he turned, he zoomed on in and said, looks like. Let me just show that footage to you right now, just to put into perspective.
Because I don't want to pass it. You know? And then there's caves like that. You know? Looks like. I'm not going up there. And there's caves, there's actually caves all over the place up here. It's a really cool place. If you want to come spelunking, this is the place to come spelunking, man.
All those caves out there, yet not one Kenny could locate or investigate at that moment to pinpoint where he actually found the original M cave. Interesting. Some would question, was it even there to begin with? Was Kenny Veach even in the right area when he went back out the second time round? It's open for debate, that part. But one point that is invalid and is a lie by Kenny Veach is when he stated you can go cave exploring within that area. False. Many other hikers, well, not many, but a small group have gone through that area. Aquachiga, SB Vegas Adventures, Jay Chuck, Jay Silverheels, Jeff Clark, Sean Horlacher, and maybe the odd few other people in between. And not one of them was able to successfully locate a cave deep enough to go in and explore, which makes Kenny Veach's point invalid. So that is a little bit weird. But once again, the fact that there are supposedly lots of caves in the area, including that other M-shaped cave, which only Jeff Clark came across, which was higher up, not quite fitting the description by Kenny, but it did check the list in terms of the M shape. And because Kenny Veach contradicts himself in his own hike video, he says it's about ground level, just like here. But earlier on, he said on the side of a mountain or on the side of a rock wall, which could mean low down or halfway up. And that M-shaped cave, which Jeff Clark came across, did fit that description. So there's a few other possibilities there which haven't been acknowledged by Kenny. It's just overall, the fact that there are more caves in that area as he describes, then the higher the chance of one of them being the M cave, right? And that the higher the chances of more caves being in that area, it should equal the higher amount of time spent locating and searching for the cave in that specific area. If all the distance and travelling beforehand to get to the mine shaft, to get over Wild Horse Pass, to get to this area just before Picture Canyon and Skull Canyon, if this is the hotspot, if this is the area which triggers memories of Kenny, oh, looks like kind of like here, then, set up base camp, not literally, but stop, take it in, look around, investigate. He didn't. He went out there primarily to search for the M cave. He took a camera with him to document and prove it. He was partially boosted to go out there because of the presence online of those questioning him and wanting proof. And he's a passionate hiker as well. So when he finally gets the opportunity to go out there, what does he do? Just casually strolls on through the entire hike. Okay, he didn't record the entire hike because he did cut off at times. He said, right, I'll see you later. And then he spawns in a different area. Okay, I understand that because of file size, storage, battery life on the camera. I get that. So what was Kenny Veach doing at the moments of when it wasn't recorded? Did he just carry on walking along? I mean, there was times and moments where he stood still to look at a bloody, turtle, toys, whatever you call it, looking at sheep, bighorn sheep or something on the mountains at the end, just outside of Picture Canyon when he exited. Even looking, was it a tarantula as well, possibly? He took in the nature and some of the wildlife, right? And it's like, well, if you're focused and you're dedicated to finding the cave, nothing should stop you, right? And if you are time limited, time restricted, as Jeff Clark said, then it should be planned out appropriately. And the most time spent should be focused on searching for the cave. And if you do have a particular hotspot area, then put most of that time into that place and not just spread it out, looking at this for a few minutes, then looking at that for a few minutes. When it builds up, it's accumulative. All that time together could have been spent in that area where the supposed M cave was, which Kenny walked past and blanked. You get what I'm saying? It seems like, yeah, prepare yourself to go out there, but then when you're out there, oh, it's kind of casual, we'll just stroll on by. If at any point or moment you are reminded of something from the past, there's a chance that maybe there could be more to it, but Kenny Veach didn't seem to acknowledge it enough. As we saw, that casual behaviour, shrugging it off, and maybe the change of behaviour as well, when he saw that opposite cave and seemed somewhat intimidated by it and said, I'm not going up there, even though it looks like, what? It looks like the M cave, but I'm not going up there. It looks like a clue to something I saw in the past, but I'm not going up there. That's exactly Kenny Veach's mentality and attitude at the time. And it contradicts his mentality to begin with of why he went out there. You get what I'm saying? Now, I know other hikers have been out there since in that area and searched about and not really found much. But, you know, if we just focus on the covered up M cave at least, right? Of course, not much else is going to be found from then till now because no one has actually tried gaining access to it, partially because of resources, equipment, practicality, and breaking laws, and you'd get in trouble. Some people have attempted in a way by removing the odd rock, but that's about it. So, you know what I'm saying? But it could be a hot spot, and people have been there and done what they could, but maybe some people would argue it's not enough. But at least with Kenny Veach and his mindset at that time, if it was a do or die attitude, this was the last thing he had, he quit his job, maybe struggling with money, the pressure getting to him, you know, you would think times like that, desperate times, desperate measures, any action taken, regardless of the consequences afterwards, unless that was delayed till his final unrecorded hike out there where he did take action and it did backfire. But you get what I'm saying, right? Now, just as a little question, we don't know the true answer, but you can let me know your thoughts down below. Kenny Veach walking by that area, the hot spot, what I call it, just before Skull Canyon and Picture Canyon. If Kenny Veach went out there on his final unrecorded hike and he did do the full hike, let's just say, would he have said or reacted any different to when he went on his recorded hike? Okay? It's not guaranteed. You know, on his final unrecorded hike, you know, he could have gone in a completely different direction, or he double backtracked himself back to his vehicle or to somebody else's vehicle to be picked up and to fake it all and stage it. He might have not even got to the point of approaching Picture Skull Canyon and passing by the hotspot area to maybe have a second look at the area. You get what I'm saying? So all we can work with is the material what we have, and that's Kenny's second hike out there, okay? I just think he could have done more in that area and he could have tried searching more, but if there is a level of doubt and confusion within him due to changes to the environment in the area compared to the first time he went out there and found it, then maybe it's somewhat understandable as to why he wasn't as confident, but there was some little similarities reminding him of the past, right? Now, what I want to do is refer back to those photos of at least two of the caves, the M-shaped one and the covered up M cave. They're the two main focuses of today. I just want to put it into perspective, you know, similarities and differences between both of them and nail down, really focus on why did Kenny acknowledge one over the other when one was more prominent looking than the other, right? Why did he ignore one of them but acknowledge the other? Yet, holistically speaking, he didn't go any further past that point by investigating or looking any closer, right? So overall, he neglected the area. But if you focus in deeply on two of the caves at least, he did give one more credit than the other. And why is that when the other one stands out more? And it has done, as said, through the thumbnails, the videos, and all the other channels referencing the cave and the mystery, okay? Let's just head on over to the photos, just so you can understand what I'm getting at with my point. So here we are with the images. As I said, you would have seen this by now from the earlier part of this video, but I just wanted to do the slideshow, a comparison between this one and the covered up cave, trying to understand why would Kenny acknowledge the other one but not this, when clearly it looks like an M-shaped cave. And this is the thing, okay, you know, you zoom on in, it doesn't look that dark, it doesn't look that deep, but why didn't Kenny Veach at least acknowledge and say, oh yeah, a cave kind of like this in terms of the shape, and then proceeded onwards and then said, as for the covered up cave, a place kind of like this in terms of the ground level? Why did he not acknowledge both? Why did he only focus on one? And ultimately, why did he just completely walk past them in general? That's what we've got to try and understand. Now, is this on ground level? Well, technically speaking, yes. It's a bit higher up, but the gradient of the ground goes up slightly as well, up to the rock wall. So still, technically, it's ground level in a way. Not as low down compared to the covered cave, which is low down to the ground. This is slightly raised in the area, but come on, you know, when you're looking at it, you can see the shape, and I have done an outline of it, which we can refer back to shortly. You know, would it ever fill up? Would it be ever flooded or washed? You know, when there's heavy rainfall, maybe, maybe not. We've never really seen it documented with heavy rain, unfortunately. You know, we've done analysis of this area before, but I just wanted to refer back to it, right? Just to piece it all together to put into perspective, right? On the left-hand side, you would have noticed it earlier on in the video. Be sure to rewind if you didn't catch it. On the left-hand side, that other opening is the keyhole cave. I did label it completely. I can even maybe do a short video on it, right? Just cutting it down, labeling each cave and the significance behind it, right? With regards to this one, okay, so this was 2014 October time by Kenny Veach. This is the same area, slightly different angle, different time of the year, and a different year itself. This was documented by Sean Horlacker. He went out there in 2019. You can see the shape, definitely very prominent, stands out, especially when stepping back. It is slightly higher up, as I said, the gradient does go up. A bit more vegetation at that point in time, just because of the seasons and stuff. But you see the rock wall, you see how they're next to each other as you walk by it. So yeah, maybe there's a slighter less chance of flooding because it's a bit higher up, this one. I think some people in the past have highlighted could have been a place where mountain lions slept or took food to eat on, maybe. But, you know, most of the hikers haven't recorded or noted any of that type of wildlife out there when they've been searching. They've heard noises, some of them, and it's raised their awareness. Now, there could be still something out there lurking about, okay? As for this photo, once again, same exact area, slightly different camera angle, and significantly more up to date. This is 2023. This was October to November time, late October to early November. I might have got it a little bit wrong, but it's very recentness when Jay Chuck went out there, okay? And the other interesting thing is, which has never been seen or documented before, is those weird track marks, lines, parallel to one another. Looks exactly as if a helicopter landed in that spot, and there was more than enough distance from landing there to the rock wall in the background. So that's a standalone video in itself. Be on the lookout for it. That's Jay Chuck there, credit to him. He's done a lot, he's documented a lot, and he has significantly improved in terms of length and quality of his videos. His original videos were already good, but I guess naturally he took it on board to make the videos a bit longer so people could see where he was at a point and describing it more clearer. So hopefully Jay Chuck sees this video. If not, I'll just pass on the message elsewhere, okay? Once again, you can see it stands out, right? And maybe from this angle, it might look a bit deeper and darker because it's darker in general, right? So maybe it depends what angle you look at it. Just like Jeff Clark coming across that M-shaped cave higher up, he saw it, but nobody else did. Certain time, certain place, certain angle, then it unlocks that perception. Could that have been with Kenny too? You never know. So yeah, and then that one being the keyhole cave, as I said, but it doesn't stand out as much. And to be honest, when you've got vegetation like this, it kind of blocks the view. So you compare it back to here, where there was a fair bit of vegetation. See those bushes? That bush there, to take in perspective, get off, is that one here. So they've not moved, and you probably wouldn't expect them to move, but you know, I just wanted to prove to you this is the same area what we're looking at, because I know some people doubt the videos. Okay, moving on, this is the covered up cave from a different angle, of course, but it's actually facing it so you can see it a bit clearer. This was taken by Sean Horlacher, once again, 2019, same time as this, same day, okay? Because they're next to each other. This is the place Kenny Veach described, saying, yeah, somewhere on ground level, just like here, right? Just from a different angle. So when you look at it up close, you might think, oh, it does look a bit, filled in or something, but what about the shape? Does it stand out? Does it meet that description as Kenny Veach described? Well, if we move on to the next one, you can take it into perspective. So the original M-shaped looking cave, even without the red lines, you could probably say, well, it looks like the M-shaped cave, but with the added lines, it does make it a little bit clearer, right? Okay, maybe the lines aren't exactly perfect, but I'm just doing what I can at the time. It stands out, right? You can make it out. Besides the depth and the dark level, the lighting, the shape of it checks the list. It stands out. Why did Kenny completely ignore it? That's what I'm saying. And then as for this one, the outline of it is something like a triangle, but I don't see the M shape to it. Unless if the rocks were pulled away and then there was like an underhanging one up there, which came down like in a reverse way to form a tip, an upside down tip, which then could form a bit of a M shape, then maybe you could put that argument across. And the reason why I've done it at an angle, the base of it, because it is kind of at an angle, the base itself, naturally. Okay, when you follow the seams, the lines, as Sean described himself. So a cave like this received acknowledgement from Kenny Veach, but a cave like this, which actually looks like an M cave, was completely ignored. Does that even make sense to you? I know when you walk past, and if you saw it that clear that it wasn't deep at all, right? Maybe you say, well, like, it can't be the cave. Okay, then. So when you see a cave like this, which isn't even shaped like an M, and isn't even deep because it's, filled in, let's just say, or covered up, then how could you relate to this spot? The only way you could relate to this spot besides it being low to the ground, even though this is low to the ground as well, is because there is another factor behind this spot as to why he said somewhere like here, which isn't as prominent as somewhere like here, because he has a memory of passing by it in the past. And maybe the encounter with the M cave itself. Do you get what I'm saying? When you try and follow the description by Kenny, the original one, and you walked past an area like this, would you be saying, this is it? The only reason why Sean Horlacher did his investigation and made the video orientated around this being the covered up M cave is because when Sean Horlacher looked back at Kenny Veach's hike video, Kenny said, oh, somewhere like here. Here marks the spot. That's what triggered Sean in terms of taking action to going here and then believing in this being the spot. If Kenny Veach never gave acknowledgement to this spot, if Kenny Veach never said somewhere like here, but said somewhere like here, then everybody would be focusing on this one and then ignoring that one. You get what I'm saying? Okay, maybe over time, people would eventually say, hey, have you seen that kind of like rock formation? Looks a bit suspicious to me. But it doesn't scream and shout pure M-shaped cave, does it? That one does, though. It's just the depth that lets it down. Yet besides it not fully ticking the boxes, it could have at least been acknowledged by Kenny. The fact that it wasn't acknowledged, did Kenny even see it? Was he even aware of it? What else did Kenny Veach walk by which could have been of some significance or linkage to the past? That's where you got to start questioning. Was he quite there with it at the time? Was he intentionally trying to find a cave or just going on through like a little stroll in the park? It makes you think, doesn't it? And see, this is the thing. I know some people down the line, impetuous humans, etc., will leave a comment down below saying, well, if you think you can do better, Af, then do it and go there yourself. That's not the question or measure of what we're looking at today. As I said, I've acknowledged that other hikers have been out there and been hands-on in the area, and they themselves haven't come to an ultimate conclusion either. But there's still that uncertainty of the covered up M cave. It's just the laws that restrict people from pushing any further in that spot. So there's still, chances. But this is all down to a measure and question of, was Kenny Veach, was he in the correct mindset? What he said online and how passionate he was, did it translate correctly in terms of when he documented himself out there? Or did something change in between? That's what I'm saying. Because, maybe the more you look at it, the more that Kenny did miss out on. Like he didn't acknowledge this or that. Yet when you compare Kenny Veach's hike footage, the other people recorded more or were just more hands-on, which is, a good thing. And no, Jeff Clark said, let's just acknowledge the key point. Jeff Clark said, maybe Kenny didn't stay around that long because of timing, because of resources. Okay, you can't be out there too long. Well, doesn't it all come down to how prepared you are to begin with, right? If you're doing an overnight stay out there, which people have done already, supposedly Kenny Veach did it himself in the area or so. Jay Chuck did it, Sean Horlock and his friend did it in 2016, so it is possible. But on that occasion, it seemed like Kenny was underprepared. He had limited resources, right, compared to other times, from how he supposedly pushed himself harder than ever. That will be a standalone video. Be on the lookout for it, okay? So, okay, with the limited resources he had, maybe he was time limited to what he could do out there. Well, why the hell prepare yourself with limited resources if this is the big thing? This is the moment to record it, to find it, to prove to the world and maybe become successful off of it. Why prepare yourself so much if this is the center stage where it all counts? You get what I'm saying? So it seems like with not being quite prepared, limited resources means limited time spent out there, meaning he didn't quite plan it through correctly, that his mentality wasn't as clear and as passionate as it was online, how he presented himself. You get what I'm saying? I know some people could say, oh, you're going in a bit too hard here, but you know what? We need to get deep to understand it completely, right? Because there's some untouched areas. Some people can say, keep going round and round in circles with the footage, but there is always something new to look at, and that's what we're doing right now, okay? And as well, take in mind, as I said, you can spend all your time dilly-dallying about elsewhere in the desert area, on the hike, on the way, right? I mean, look at it from, what was it, the mine shaft to where he next ended up. Was it near Wild Horse Pass or something? Okay, there's cuts in between, but there was other times where he's sat down collecting pinion nuts, getting bloody nuts. Is there any time for that, collecting nuts? I thought you were here to find the cave. Isn't that more important? Makes you think. Now, I can kind of understand maybe Kenny Veach wanted to document it completely, so people get a full experience of the area. But really, if you know you're limited with time and time in real life in general as to the trouble you could be in, and this is your big break, and also you're limited with, the gear you have on you and the hike itself, the length it takes, right? A 10, 11 hour hike or so, 10, 11 miles, something along that range, right? If you know you're limited, then use your time wisely, right? I don't think Kenny Veach did that. And this is the other thing. Whilst some people like Jeff Clark could say, well, limited to time, resources, you can't be out there too long because you got to take in consideration. It's okay hiking out there, you got to hike back. And that can be just as bad and as time consuming. Okay. But if you're Kenny Veach and you know just before Pitcher Canyon and near to Skull Canyon and before that is the area of all the caves, the hotspot area, the location Kenny Veach acknowledged, oh, a place like here, and oh, that cave looks like, who knows? If you know that is a key area and it reminds you from the last time you went out there, then as I said, you should put all your time and focus into that area rather than beforehand. Because if beforehand there's really no caves, and past the hotspot area, as if you were going down Pitcher Canyon, well, past that point, it's game over, because by then you're already on the way back to your vehicle and there's going to be less caves from there on. So it's in between, just before Pitcher Canyon, Skull Canyon, and just after going over Wild Horse Pass and then turning left. So it's like a center point. That's where all the time, the focus, the investigation should have taken place, yet Kenny didn't do that. And if he knew he was limited, then he should have prepared more in the sense of, right, I'll quickly hike on through here, do a little introduction, and then reach the spot where all the caves are, and then I can look a bit closer. That's what I would say, okay? If he is against time, then it needs to be managed a little bit better, right? Look at Sean Horlacher. Sean Horlacher is the perfect example in terms of, I mean, there's others as well, but I just wanted to focus on this example specifically. He went out there at a certain time, which I think was later than when Kenny Veach went out there in terms of timing in the day. I think Sean Horlacher went out just after lunch, but Kenny Veach went in the morning time. So there's a big time difference there. Hence why when Sean Horlacher was on the way back, he was walking in the dark. Would Kenny Veach do that? Well, if he's that passionate and driven at that point in time, then he would do whatever it takes, right? We've seen it in the past on Facebook that he has hiked out in the dark. We've documented it, photos online, on previous videos. It's all there for you to see. So he's capable of doing that. But the fact that he went out earlier compared to Sean Horlacher, there might have been a higher chance that it wouldn't have been as dark when returning back. I mean, October time, how dark would it be? Well, not as bad as November time, let's just say that. But just to refer back to Sean Horlacher, when Sean Horlacher went out there, he was really hands-on when it came to the hotspot area of the covered up M Cave. And you know why? Because that's what he set out to do. That was the main reason to why he hiked the way he did to that one spot, to then spend more time looking at it, looking up close, feeling the rocks, nudging them, listening in, trying to peek through the lot. Did Kenny Veach do any of that? No. That's what's disappointing, right? And be in the mindset of Kenny Veach just for a second. If you know that you've done all of this hike and you've yet to found any resemblance to what you found previously, you've not found any clues, you've not had any like memory triggers of what you remember seeing last time or something that appeared similar, right? You've had none of that experience up until you got to that hotspot area before the Pitcher Canyon and Skull Canyon. And that's when suddenly, oh, yeah, like here. Well, do something about it then, because if you know past that point, you're going through Pitcher Canyon, less caves, and then after that, you come out and you're out in the open and then you hike back, well, then you could say, well, that's game over. So, you know, that feeling, that knowing sense of I'm coming to the end of my hike, I'm not getting anywhere, I've not found anything yet, I better find something now, because if I don't, that's it, game over for me. And he just so happens to. Clues, a prompt, oh, like here. But he doesn't act on it, and he just carries on walking, and then past that point, you could say it's game over. No more M caves further on, because it's then on the way back to his, you know, the loop, back to his vehicle. Wasted opportunity, blanked, ignored. So it all comes down to either one, he wasn't taking it seriously, may have been causing a bit of misdirection as well, or two, he was genuinely confused psychologically, mentally, maybe because changes were made to the environment compared to when he went the first time on his first unrecorded hike out there. That's what I would say at the end of the day, okay? Like, when it comes to the Sean Horlachers and hikers onwards, they went out there 2016 onwards, maybe 2015 if you include in Sean, the original. But before that, 2014, 2013, did any of these hikers we know of went out there at that time? I don't think so. If anyone did, it'd be interesting to see their point of view of that hotspot area. Any differences from 2013 to 2014 or 2012 to 2014? I just don't think people have hiked through that specific area back then. But if they did, it'd be interesting to compare and contrast the footage to see, was there a real change in the environment in that small spot, that small area, to when Kenny Veach went out a second time round, in which maybe it did change, okay? I mean, of course, if we had Kenny Veach's first hike out there where he came across the M Cave, then it probably would have solved it all. But more so, it would have put into perspective the location, and if there was any changes along the way compared to his second hike. We don't have that. So we just work with what we've got, and maybe down the line, something older will show up. You never know. But hopefully, and I really hope you understood this video. You know, normally well, sometimes I might mention it, but I do strongly think and believe that it's worth sharing this video. Besides liking the video, just sharing this video to as many people as you know of. I think it could be very helpful, because it's a very important discussion is, and I just hope that in the chat there wasn't too much disruption. I really hope there wasn't too much disruption this time round, because I understand we do light-hearted videos and some more casual discussions, but this is really serious. You know, this is really important. This is looking at it deeper than ever, whilst looking at the same material as what we've done previously, but there is more to uncover. And I just hope that people are here to be able to listen to it, understand it, and take it in mind, whilst limiting the distractions around and stuff out of my control, okay? So hopefully you enjoyed and found this video interesting. You want to leave your comments, whether you agree or disagree, leave them down below. I symbol above, catch up on the previous videos you missed out on. If for whatever reason this video gets silenced, the reach is cut short and limited, the video is limited, restricted, there's disruption completely in this live chat and it's a complete mess, obviously I will be greatly disappointed, but I'll just re-upload this video in the future for a better viewing experience, or re-upload in the future in case I am silenced here, right? So I think we'll leave it there for now. There's still, I guess in a way, there's still quite a bit more to look at, but I guess I just got to break the videos down bit by bit. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, good night for now.